Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO.
Well, a happy Mother's Day weekend to one and all, and thank you so much for joining Missoula Real Estate Today. One of my favorite guests is making a return appearance after, 14, 15 months, something like that. Paige Pavalone, Director of Missoula Works. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You bet. Well, since it's been that long, we better do the basic reacquaint. Paige, what is Missoula Works, and how can it benefit homeowners and or the public in general?
Thank you. So Missoula Works is a workforce development social enterprise here in Missoula. We do job creation for marginalized citizens here in town. So folks that are living at or below the poverty level, folks that have been impacted by homelessness or incarceration, single moms, single dads, or folks that just need assistance. Right. We have 3 separate business lines, a staffing agency, a textile company, and one that would benefit homeowners is probably the Get It Done crew. So we provide a bunch of services, including landscaping, snow and ice mitigation, junk outs, painting, and just general handyman services.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about them a bit further down the show here. Missoula Works is a subsidiary of the Missoula Interfaith Collaborative. Hope I got that right. What is that, and what other services do they provide?
MIC, Missoula Interfaith Collaborative, has been around for about 10 years. We are a nonprofit organization that works on larger systemic issues in our community in Missoula, including unhoused families. We run the Family Housing Center, Family Promise. We do that. We have the Housing Advocate Network, which is a coalition of volunteers, and of course, Missoula Works. So we try to bring people in and build community to help any individual, if they've got family or not, and help them tackle the goals that they want to achieve here in town.
What are the differences between Missoula Works and say the Missoula Job Service or private personnel agencies?
Right. So Missoula Works, we're a program of a nonprofit organization. We do a lot of similar things to other organizations like the Job Service, but sometimes the Job Service sends their folks to us, that individuals that are difficult to employ. So we do job support services. That's what makes us really different from any other employer in town, because we want to know everything that's happening in that person's life and what we can do to support them. If it's recovery, achieving housing, tackling childcare, or anything that gets in the way of them achieving their own personal capital. That's a big difference.
Yeah. And another difference I would assume is that Missoula Works is probably not the first stop that these people have made on their path, trying to right their life or lives or find a decent work.
Sure. A lot of folks come to us because we're kind of the catch-all organization, the social service that if individuals come in, we ask them, are they there for housing, employment, or both? And a lot of them are both. We're seeing a lot of individuals getting squeezed out of their housing or they can't afford it anymore. So they know that if they come to us, they can tackle a lot of those bigger issues that they're facing in their personal life.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck here on News Talk KGVO. My guest this weekend, Paige Pavalone, Director of Missoula Works. And, since I just brought her up, Paige, your working relationship with Diane and Windermere, realtors in general, where does what you offer intersect with a real estate agency?
The real estate organizations in town are a great partnership for us. I would say that most of the calls that we get are from real estate agents, because we provide those services that are, if you need somebody in a hurry, quickly to get a job done, if a house needs to get ready for listing and there's a backyard filled with garbage or the interior needs to have carpet ripped out or a wall patched or the grass mowed, literally anything that needs to be done in a pinch that maybe not is required for reoccurring services. Yeah. So that's really where we're filling a niche, is that you're not going to get a big builder or contractor to come to your house to build a gate that's going to take 2 hours, but we can do that because we've got that, the technical skill and we've got the staff to do it. So it's a really great collaboration for us. We try to really forge strong relationships with all the real estate agents here in town.
Man, with supply chains and staffing issues still haunting us 3 years after COVID, That's got to be that has to just be such a convenience, a blessing for a lot of people who snap my fingers, gotta have it now or as soon as possible.
Totally. And some examples of that are folks that have, if there's brush or things that need to be taken to the compost center, or if there's a junk out, if a family member passed away and all of their items are still in the house that need to be taken to the Goodwill or donation warehouse, we provide those services, and just getting people there that are able-bodied. We have our own equipment, we have our own vehicles, and we can transport all that stuff in a pinch.
Nice. We started to talk about your talent pool of workers a couple minutes ago who have perhaps faced some challenges along their way. How do you find each other?
We have referrals from all over the place in Missoula. They come to us by way of the Job Service, Probation and Parole, the Missoula County Jail, Montana State Prison, the Family Housing Center. So it's not just individuals who have been impacted by the justice system, but anybody who's experienced any kind of adversity with getting a job. That's the survivor of domestic violence who can't keep a job because she's got 3 kids at home and she's working on her housing, all the way to the person who is 55 years old on a fixed income and is looking for a secondary source of capital.
Yeah. Tell us about the Family Promise Shelter, what services you provide, and who is eligible to stay there.
So Family Promise, we used to be in a location over here on South Avenue, and there was a huge need. It was always waitlisted of families trying to get in. And several years ago, we collaborated with the YWCA. They built the Meadowlark Center, which also has the DV shelter. And we house 31 families in that facility, and it's waitlisted already. So any combination of mom, dad's kids that are displaced from housing, I believe that one of the prerequisites is that they have to have resided in Missoula for the past 90 days. I don't know if I'm getting that right, but we provide housing, case management services, meals for families, turnover services, and helping that family get back into long-term sustainable housing. So we're offering all those services. So it's not just come here, come stay, but let's work and move onward and upward out of here and coming up with a plan to have long-term placement for families.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Paige Pavalone, Director of Missoula Works. I know you do a lot of networking. You're a busy gal. Do you recruit potential employers to hire members of the Missoula Works team? And what sort of objections or reluctance might you have to overcome? I think you know where I'm going with
yes.
that.
So I think the biggest thing that any business is looking for is a reliable person that's going to show up and get the job done.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to pay the piper. Everyone's got work to do. We've got to get things done proficiently. If that's working in a fast food restaurant or working in a construction organization. We work with a lot of construction companies in town. That's our big placement organizations for our staffing agency. But the reluctance we see is that people just want individuals that are going to show up and do a good job. And what we're hearing now is the workforce has been tightened and there's less employees out there, businesses are willing to overlook any past infractions. If there was a felonious record, if there's no driver's license, we're coming up with creative ways to find placement at an organization or a business for our employees in spite of anything that's happened. They say if a person is willing to turn a leaf and meet us halfway and work hard, let's do it. And so it's been really good. It's really difficult to find employees that have valid driver's licenses right now. That's a big pain point for us and for businesses. So the bus system, if you're not on the bus system, it's really difficult to place a person if it's not there. So
the Get It Done crew. Why did you choose that name, and what is the statement you're trying to make there?
It's a cool origin story. So when we started the Get It Done crew, we had an urgency of people looking for jobs, and we didn't have enough jobs to place this growing number of people that were looking for employment in town. But as individuals would come in, they would rattle off their verbal resume, so to speak, and tell us about all the things they knew how to do, fixing tractors, small engine. And when we couldn't find jobs for them, we said, well, we're already insured under these work comp codes, and we know a lot of people through our MIC networks and congregations and businesses. So we started doing a cold call campaign and would just call individuals and say, hey, got this person here. He wants to do some work. And they would say, yeah, I've got Christmas decorations that need to go to the Goodwill. I've got a flower bed that needs weeding. And we were saying, yeah, we can get it done. We can get that done too. Yeah, we'll get it done. So we kept saying that, and the name just stuck. That we offer versatility and being able to get the things, even if it's just heavy lifting, moving boxes, whatever, we'll get it done.
Well, it definitely has a I promise sound to it, doesn't it? You kind of put yourself on the spot there.
Yeah.
Make sure you get it done, by golly. What all does a Get It Done crew project involve before, during, and after a job? I think you just alluded to the fact that, well, you got to find people who are the right fit for the job being requested.
The Get It Done crew right now, it has anywhere between 5 and 10 employees. Some of them are working full-time, some of them are working part-time. And the scope of services is determined by the customer. They can say, I've got a listing that's ready to go to show, but there's holes in the wall. The grass hasn't been cut since last year. It needs to be weeded. It needs to be lawn mowed. And we also have this old couch that needs to go to the dump. So one of our project managers will give an estimate, come and check out the site, and we just execute the job, put it on the calendar, and away we go. But it's a really vast array of jobs that we do. I think I kind of talked about it before, but just taking things to the dump and things people don't have time to do. I've personally used them to replace deck boards at my house, build a gate that was getting rotted, and just rebuilding, dragging in dirt or gravel, the heavy lifting kind of stuff that I don't want to do, and I'm happy to pay someone else to do. So,
yeah, people. That's good. You know people at Missoula Works.
Yep.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Paige Pavalone, director of Missoula Works. Also, thank you so much to a couple of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you the show every weekend here on KGVO. Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage. Back to Paige Pavalone. I know you're excited about this. There is a new service that you're offering now. I don't know how new exactly, but the Missoula Works Ventures. Tell me about that.
Yes, really cool story. We did a little retrospect on the individuals that we were able to employ over the course of the past 6 or 7 years, and individuals that we were not able to employ. And those folks were often women or people who were on a fixed income, senior citizens that needed more static work and not heavy labor, physical labor. Our oldest employee is 82 years old. And looking back, we said, we've got to find jobs. We're in the business of innovating jobs and making sure that every person that walks into our place, we at least have some kind of opportunity that they're going to want to do and maybe learn a new skill. So we came to have 10 different Nakajima industrial machines, and that's a cool story, but I won't get into it. And all of this fabric that was destined for the dump from Sun Mountain Sports in Missoula. So we knew a guy who knew a guy. We got the machines, transported them over to our office space, and built a program, which is essentially a paid apprenticeship, where if a person has never touched a machine before, we teach them from the ground up how to do it. And we're seeing tons of progress. People that have never seen a machine before are now creating these really awesome bags that we're creating. We're also upcycling banners, vinyl banners that you might see hanging downtown, and repurposing them into totes and bags as well. Fanny packs, bandolé bags. So they're really cool. They're really specific to the Missoula flavor, bright, fun colors, and they're creating jobs for people in that demographic that we were missing in the past, which are, senior citizens looking for part-time work that is low impact, and also women that need flexible schedules.
Where do the finished products go?
So we're building a Shopify website right now, but you'll see us at the market, the Riverside Market. I think we're in lot number 88, and we're going to be selling in our products there. Also at the Missoula Made Fair and the Missoula Marathon Expo. We've got a booth at that event. So we're going to be hitting it hard this summer and trying to get our projects promoted, and all these cool things that we're creating. So,
oh my goodness, that's fantastic. So you're talking about a lot of stitching and embroidery and things like that?
Yeah, so not necessarily embroidery, but all of we have a bunch of ripstop material and also the banners that are contributed to us.
Yeah.
So we cut them and fashion them into these. We've got several different prototypes, about 6 of them right now, that are for everyday use, carrying your laptop to work, a hiking backpack, a fanny pack, and they're just really functional and cool looking. And we have our logo on the outside and the inside, but we've also collaborated with Run Wild Missoula and Clearwater Credit Union to make custom designed items for them as well.
Wow. Did it? So now you'll have to help me here. You've been the director of Missoula Works for 6 years.
6 years, yes.
Okay. Oh, I got that right. Did when you stepped into that position, did the I guess demographic, for lack of a better word, you talked about some of that you have elderly team members that you're trying to did that surprise you? Did you kind of have a preconceived notion of who the typical?
It did surprise me, yeah, because the original business plan was only geared to work with the demographic of people impacted by the justice system. But what we saw when we opened our doors, it was anybody that needed help. And they were all coming to us. And the senior citizen population, that's a relatively new trend that we've been seeing over the course of the past couple of years. And yeah, just folks that need to make more money to pay for rent or just want to keep working. So anybody that comes in, wants to learn a new skill, wants to work, and shows up and does the job, come one, come all. You don't have to have, a card-carrying felon, or you don't have to be unhoused. If you want a job and you're looking for extra support, that's what we can offer, that other businesses are not offering. And it really builds community. We know everybody knows everybody by their first name. There's dozens of people that are roaming around that building now, and we all know each other. And it's kind of like a small community and family who those folks might otherwise not have had if they didn't come to join our organization.
Wow, I think that's awesome. Congratulations on
Thanks.
that. If a grizzled old broadcast veteran asking for a friend needed a hand up,
you got it, Denny. You come right in. We'll put you in front of a machine, teach all the skills.
Didn't say me, Paige. You have programs in place at Missoula Works to help folks prepare to be placed in temporary or permanent positions, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. And when a person comes in, we try to capture all that demographic data. We want to know the whole story of why they got here. If it was a DV situation, if they're, a person who's newly divorced and is now a single mom and says, I don't know how to do this. I need to apply for a Best Beginning scholarship. What childcare facility should I go to? I'm in recovery. Trying to tackle all of those issues, either in-house or through external referrals. And what our job is to identify what the goals are of that program participant and what they want to do. They want to have jobs that they feel seen and fulfilled. And we're really trying to partner with businesses that create that kind of culture. And we also want to build that culture in-house as well. So it's the whole package. And sometimes we can get a person into a job right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Sometimes we're focusing on stuff that it's got nothing to do with jobs. It's getting an identification, working on getting a second pair of shoes if you're going to go work on a crew, all that stuff that happens pre-employment. And we stay with them during employment and also post-employment, checking in. Are you still working there? You got a raise? Great. Oh, you moved on to a better job? Even better. They're not always success stories, but the ones that are the ones that are the ones that we hang on to, and they're so important.
Do you see common threads among the prospective employees who have turned to you and the stories they have to tell as to why they found their way to Missoula Works? And that cannot be an easy first-time interview a lot of times.
It can't, and they do. There's so many stories that you think you've heard it all, but you really haven't heard it all. Yeah. And oftentimes we've got folks that come in here and their life just is in shambles. They're at rock bottom. They maybe lost their housing. They maybe lost their employment. They're trying to get their kids back. A lot of people that we have experienced a ton of trauma. So being able to listen to that with open ears and love and compassion and empathy, and letting them know that this is bad. We acknowledge that, but there's, you're going to come out on the other side, and let us help you get there. The stories we hear are all across the board, folks that maybe have been incarcerated for a long time and they're trying to get their life back on track, or the single mom or the senior citizen who is just trying to get their bills paid. So sometimes it's heart-wrenching, but we are a trauma-informed organization, and we really try to not be surprised or show shock on our face when somebody comes in and tells us a really difficult story.
Trauma-informed, great term. I like that. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. And my guest, Paige Pavalone, the director of Missoula Works. And Paige, what is that screening process like? How do you determine who likely candidates are, how they qualify, earn your trust, and all of that?
Great question. We built out this program to kind of reflect a ski resort, right? So talking about a personal readiness and professional readiness, a person who is a green circle, if you're familiar with skiing, is a beginner and they're just getting their feet wet. They need to know the basics about how to be an employee and what to do. A person who is a blue square is somebody who's a little more proficient and has a lot of their personal affairs in order. And a black diamond is a person who is really refined and they would probably have a really high propensity of success if placed into a job blind the next day. That also equates to their personal or their professional readiness and their skill sets. So based on all of that, when a person comes in, we kind of gauge where they're at and if we start them on an in-house crew versus doing a blind placement in the community. We try to, as much as we can, massage people's skill sets in-house on the Get It Done crew or at Missoula Works Ventures before they're placed outside, but they can work up to that or they can maintain full-time employment. But if a person's showing up, they're ready to put the work in, we don't want to turn anybody away, but it's also a programmatic piece that a person might not be ready or willing to take that step with us, and that is okay. Come back when you're ready, come back when you're ready. Or they might be able to secure employment outside of our services that we offer, which is great too. But a person just has to be ready to, pull themselves up by their bootstraps and meet us halfway, and let's start doing the hard work.
Pricing for your services, how is all of that set?
So it varies per what job we have.
Yeah.
And we're pretty on par with most like landscaping companies. We're actually more competitively priced than other standard landscaping companies, but it exists somewhere between 35 up to 55 per hour, depending on what the job is. If there's construction detail cleaning, that's going to vary. That's going to be different versus if we were to pull all of our equipment to a location and then take things up to the dump, and then there's cost of goods sold and dump fees and things like that. So it really varies on the job, but our prices are really competitive and attainable.
I imagine a lot of people are expecting, when they call you and you want some work done, but they're still expecting an estimate. Does somebody have to get out on site and give them at least a fairly decent ballpark figure of what this might cost me?
Yeah, sometimes there's folks that want to come and take a look at this and let me know what you think. And we can get out there, and our crew managers and crew leads, they've been working with us for years. They're professionals. They know if they go to a job, how long it's going to take and what the cost is going to be. And sometimes you just take it one bite at a time. Like with my place, I wouldn't be able to do a full landscape install, but I can do a couple little jobs throughout the summer and still find it a really reasonable price to get these jobs done. So,
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. My guest, Paige Pavalone, Director of Missoula Works. And I nailed it, 6 years in your tenure at Missoula Works. What areas do you feel you've grown and made improvements?
Gosh, well,
don't be shy.
I'm really proud that we've made it this far, because when we started off, a lot of people didn't think we'd make it. They didn't think we'd last.
Wow.
How do you build a business on, trying to work with felons? But it's beyond that. It's a human piece of the folks that come into us. That's somebody's mom. That's somebody's brother. And they have been maybe treated poorly at a different place. So I have to remind myself of that. We have to all remind ourselves of that these are human beings that sometimes are in circumstances that are beyond their control. So I'm really proud that we're able to add these different revenue streams, that we brought in different funders and donors and people that help us build these ideas into fruition, that what started off as a staffing agency, we've kind of just unpacked different things to create more jobs for people. That's the essence of what we're trying to do, is put everybody to work, and I think that's a really cool solution to individuals that are not working or not housed. Like, come here and let's figure this out. And it releases the strain on social services. It allows people to have access to capital and build integrity. And I think that's what's really important for me, is being able to watch those transformations happen and see a person who might be at rock bottom and then visit with them 5 years and then they're a superintendent on a construction site. It's just awesome to see that. So I love that.
You and I have known each other through this show for a few years. You've only been on a few times. I don't know that I probably have, but I don't remember if I ever asked you what drew you to the position.
So it was kind of happenstance. I had some of my own personal experiences with being underemployed or unemployed when I was in a scary position in my life. and having a little baby that was reliant on me, and having that fear of, am I going to be able to make it, is something that resonates with me. So when this job opportunity came up, there was zero money to run this program. So we just had to hit the ground running and bring people in and talk about our vision. And I connected with people with that, residue that kind of stayed with me of like that fear, that vulnerability of like having children that depend on you and people not giving you a chance. So that's what keeps me at the job, and seeing every single person, whether they're sleeping in their car in our parking lot at night, to the person that is a peer and a director with me, being able to understand each person carries their own story, but every person is worthy of love and value and community. So
nice. I always like to ask about success stories. Anything you can share about team members that have come to you for help you found especially rewarding?
Oh my gosh. So
All
many.
of them probably.
So many. So I'll talk about Elizabeth. She came to us by way of the Housing Advocate Network. So she came to us looking for employment. She's 82 years old and has worked her entire life. She moved here from Germany back in the 60s and has worked as a seamstress. Came to us. We didn't have this Missoula Works Ventures up and running yet, but we were like still kind of cooking it. And she came to us, and 82 years old, and she looked like my grandma. Like she looked exactly like Lucy Beard in 1996 before she passed away. So it broke my heart that she was in her car. And she came to us, and we got her housed. She's got a roommate, which she's not crazy about, but she's housed. And came to us, and she is just a magnanimous person. She is always making little treats for us and designs a little bag and like gifts it to us. And she's just got such a fun personality. But this is a person that came to us, somebody's mom, right? Somebody's grandma. And she deserves more than having to be in her car at all, ever, not for one night. And that we're able to achieve that, getting her into employment and into housing, and that she's still there and she shows up and she puts the work in. And I just visited with her before I came here, and just having those connections is so valuable. Her son recently passed away, and she's planning a memorial service, but I love seeing that she feels safe and valued and really cared for at MIC. So,
as you were saying that, what was running through my mind, even at 82, lives need purpose. Yeah. And Missoula Works has given that person's life some more purpose.
Totally. Yes.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Paige Pavalone, director of Missoula Works. And in the final couple minutes here, Paige, I do want to ask you about volunteer programs. How can our listeners out there get involved to help Missoula Works help others?
So many ways. So we actually just put out a volunteer recruitment. We host open office hours for drop-in, no appointment required, Monday through Thursday from 10 to 12. We have caseworkers or case managers on staff that receive people as they come in for intakes or triage them to a different organization if needed. And we've gotten so busy that we had to put a volunteer recruitment out for Missoula Works and hand job coaches. So that's a really great way to interface with the folks that are coming in and looking for support. And also with the Family Housing Center at Family Promise, there's so many volunteer opportunities to provide meals or turnover services, and all that can be found on the MICMT.org website.
MIC.
MT?
Okay, no dot in there. MIC. I got to write that. I don't know if I have that. MICMT.
Yep.
.org.
Yes.
Okay. Anything I missed?
No, I don't think so.
You did a great job as always. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. My guest this week has been Paige Pavalone, the director of Missoula Works. So nice to see you again.
Likewise, Denny. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@windermere.com, or for a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit move2missoula.com. That's move, the number 2, Missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.